Gaming for good? How wonderful is that? Our guest is unleashing the power of video games to educate, engage, and empower people for positive behavioral change. Woo! It's Fab Female Founder Friday on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising these 4 businesses of my own, I now share founders' startup stories to help newly minted business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed and keep going. You know, the founder journey can be very isolating. So here in the Startup Life Live Show, we celebrate each other. We go, you keep going, you're amazing. Because there are no guarantees with these startups, right? Only the possibility. So thank you for carving out time to tune in and up your founder game while cheering on a fellow founder, because you never know, a new resource, tool, solution, an amazing aha moment may happen for you while you're hearing a fellow founder startup story. And if you're joining us live today, please share a yoo-hoo, howdy do, whatever works for you in the comment section. And if you're watching the replay, please share #replay. So I know that you watched. I'll come by and I'll say hi to you and cheer you on. If you like the founder stories that you're hearing today, please share with your community this link, this video. And if you resonate with the show's mission of amplifying diverse voices while serving first-time founders around the world, please consider supporting the Startup Life Live Show on Patreon. And thank you for your love wherever you're tuning in. Oh my gosh, because we go live on LinkedIn, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And of course, today, because we're talking about gaming, I'm hoping the Twitch family is tuning in, because that's where I see all the good gaming stuff happening. If you are tuning in from YouTube, please share your subscribe love and click on the bell icon for alerts. Thank you. You know, all of this love helps us reach more first-time founders, wannabe founders, and help them maximize the joy and minimize the heartache from their startup. All right, so let me share with you about our guest. I'm going to pull up this wonderful slide all about Mariam Nusrat. So phenomenal. She's the founder of a tech startup called Grid, Gaming Revolution for International Development, powered by a global team of young professionals who share a passion for video games and social change. They have created games on reproductive health, climate change, health pandemics, animal welfare, and STEM learning, and have games in the pipeline on child abuse, financial literacy, and skills for the future. The team is currently building Breshna. I can't believe this. A no-code platform that creates video games with no code at low cost and lightning speed. Oh my gosh. I'm ready to get all the details from our phenomenal female founder here on Friday on the Startup Life Show. Let's bring her into the room. Hello, Mariam.
Hi, Ande. How are you?
Oh, I am filled with joy that you are here sharing your incredible story with us and your experiences and your insights, because you are pure deliciousness, Mariam, and I am excited to share it all with you. I want to remind folks who are tuning in right now and if you have a business, please amplify your brand, share your business name, one-liner, and website URL in the comments, and we will showcase and celebrate your wonderful work in the world live, just like that during the show. And, you know, you never know who's going to view this video later, so you could get a new customer. Who knows? So let's do that. And I'll put up now Mariam's wonderful ticker tape at the bottom so you'll know how to reach her and connect with her at any time. So we got a few folks saying hi. We have to say hello to the man who brought us together, the one and only Steve Vilkas. Happy Friday, fearless founders and startup communities. So excited to hear Mariam's story. Game on.
Steve.
Come on.
Thank you for connecting those dots. Steve was a great
You're amazing. I'm sending you a big virtual hug until we can see each other. I'm fortunate Steve's right down the road. I have many photos with him, and so it's just great. Good morning, Jolene Fisher. Yay. Yes, we are so excited for this discussion. And hi, Prepare VC. Happy Friday, everyone. All our support and appreciation for Startup Life Live and the amazing Mariam Nusrat. Thank you, Prepare for VC. So let's take a moment. We're celebrating Prepare for VC.
VC.
And what I love about their name is they tell you exactly what they do for you. They prepare you for venture capital funding.
I love
brilliant is
that. We all need that. It's like all founders need some of that prep for VC.
And they do it beautifully. It's wonderful. And one of my favorite people on the planet, the one and only Mia Voss, the mouthy activist, brand ambassador, building inspector, and don't ever forget this, the host of the phenomenal podcast, Shit We Don't Talk About. Nobody does it better than Mia, bringing up the topics that we need to have more conversations on. Please go subscribe, iTunes, Spotify, wherever it works for you for podcasts. You will thank yourself listening to Mia and everything she has to share. She's pure deliciousness as well. Where are you hailing from?
I am in Washington, D.C. right now. I am originally from Pakistan, been in the U.S. for the past 8 years. So hello to everyone in Pakistan, everyone on the East Coast, everyone globally. Super excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so grateful you're here too. And yes, we're all excited for this show. Mia, thank you so much. Well, of course, I'm hailing here from Boston, where we're just, enjoying interesting weather, going hot, cold, hot, cold. But here's what's great. You have done something as a side hustler. All right. I want to know, you've been working very professionally on payroll. You're still on payroll for many years, but you have a really fascinating background, Mariam, because a lot of people get into gaming. They tend to have a really strong tech background, or they tend to understand the components and probably maybe build their PC or whatever they're using for gaming. You came to this with a whole new view of the world. I want you to share with folks what compelled you to launch a business.
Wow, Andy, what a great place to start, because that's exactly true. I am a solo woman, non-tech, non-biz, sidepreneur, founder. So absolutely everything that you don't see in a standard founder. It's like and you're right. I mean, a lot of my journey has been more coming at it from a pain point, coming at it from an experience of this is the gap and this is the problem. And I'd love to share a little bit of that. So
thank you.
For the past 11 years, I have been in the international development sector. And personally, my first master's was in econ. My second master's was in international development studies. Neither of those spell out tech or video games. But when I entered the international development sector, one of the things that I kept seeing again and again, I've been in the international development sector for the past 11 years, is that, and specifically in education, is that unfortunately, learning is very boring. I've worked across 22 different countries, and no matter where you go, learning ends up being very boring. And when I say learning, of course, I mean the math, English, and history and geography. But I also mean learning about behavior change, awareness, education, things like we discussed, financial literacy, climate change, COVID-19, health, all of that. And I just kept thinking about, oh, you're totally fine. I do ramble. That could be a clue if I'm rambling.
No, that was just me hitting the wrong button in my excitement to talk about, the learning, because seriously, folks, we only have so long of an attention span because of what's happening out here. And it is still archaic in how they teach us. And they teach us in school for tests, not for real learning. And I think this is where you're headed. You're talking about the fact that you see a gap in how people are learning, especially about social change, where it takes repetition in order to change prior indoctrination and bad habits. Yes?
Exactly, Andy. And having seen that again and again, I had this random aha moment where I was thinking back. So as a kid, I'm not a gamer, but I did play video games because because the video game industry is very particular about who's a gamer and who's not. I think I'm a gamer and I think I belong. But anyways, it was interesting because I grew up playing SimCity, right? And what
I love SimCity. Okay,
It's
who's watching who remembers SimCity?
SimCity, guys. Where are my SimCity people? Where are my SimCity people?
Can I just say, Mariam, as a mother who was watching her boys do SimCity, the responsibility, I'll never forget, like they ran out of water, electricity, they didn't pay their bills, the zookeeper left the doors open and all the animals went out. It's like all the things that could happen and go wrong. It's
insane, Andy, because do you know what that is? It's urban planning.
Right.
And we were learning about urban planning without knowing that we were learning about urban planning, right? I mean, so video games, the impact that they have on our brains far transcends the virtual boundaries in which we play them.
Right.
And that to me has just stuck. And so 6 years ago, I was still doing my second master's degree. And I said, you know what? I'm sure there's video games out there for social change, for education, for awareness. And unfortunately, there were not that many.
Can I just say right there, that's what has launched many a business. Anybody viewing, come on, take a moment, put something in the comment section because you've been there. Well, of course, someone's already done this. Where is it?
And in the world that we live in today, where there's something for everything, there's an app for everything, you're like, come on, someone has done this. And not to say that it hadn't been done, but it had not been mainstreamed.
Right.
And here is why. Not because no one had thought about it, but because making video games is costly, it's complicated, and it's clunky. It's a time problem, it's a money problem, and it's a skills problem, right?
Oh, and folks, I learned this, I don't know, about 5 years ago when Net Capital was launching. I met a young man who was raising $500,000 for his video game. I'm like, what?
For one game.
One game.
For one game. And that exactly is the problem, is when we are in the social sector, you do not have the luxury to put $500,000 on something that is one part of the problem, one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And so that's what I did, Andy. I was like, you know what? From Pakistan has high quality developers and designers, but capital efficient. We brought the cost of game development down from that $500,000, $500,000 to $50,000 to $20,000, in some cases $10,000. And that is the crux of it, is you can build a game that has an impact, that is fun, and you do not have to spend $1 million in it, because the fact of the matter is that it is really about understanding the learning objectives and then mapping those onto a video game and creating something where you don't have to do a trade-off between education and entertainment. Edutainment can live in the same world, and that's what we tried to do. So
absolutely.
And that was the beginning of the journey. That was 6 years ago with our not-for-profit. And now we're in 2021 building Breshna, and I can't wait to talk about that.
Oh my gosh. Now you had something happen, because as you start to, and first of all, folks, this is huge. Okay. I don't know if you're going to experience any friction from the big gaming companies. Are you running into any, like, say what from them?
Oh, absolutely. Andy, again, it is there was a lot of friction. I mean, someone who is not in the gaming industry, first of all, it was, you do not belong. And then my own imposter syndrome saying, I do not belong.
Right.
Being like, actually, they're right. I'm not a software engineer. I'm not a developer. I haven't made games. And then I'm like, I've made 12 games. What am I talking about? I belong, right? I have a team of game developers. I am leading them. I am inspiring them. I absolutely belong. But then I'm also a woman in a male-dominated industry. And unfortunately, that has friction of its own. And the tides are shifting. And here is the thing. I can focus on the very large friction that's there, or I can focus on these small spaces where I am welcome and focus on growing these small spaces till they become the very large space. And I would much rather focus on that shifting tide, on those small spaces where I am being welcomed, where we are saying women belong, where we are saying people of color belong, where we are saying non-tech people belong. Because video games is not just about coding. There is creativity, there is vision, there is art, there is design, there is storytelling, and yes, absolutely, there's coding. And we need to work together.
Oh my gosh. Can we just all go boom, boom, boom? Clicking my thumbs here, everyone. That was beautifully expressed on so many levels. Thank you. I agree with Mia. She's saying preach on that, and as well, speak, period, on period, this. So listeners, I got to tell you, those tuning into the podcast right now, this is key. I interviewed Sugar Gamer a couple of years ago, Keisha Howard, a woman of color who really has been in gaming as a gamer. I mean, the outfit, the showing up at the contests, all of that, the competitions, as a woman of color. So, you know, that kind of like raising capital, that very little representation in that area. And of course, as a mom of a son getting his game design degree, I have an appreciation of what is involved and the wonderful community that can happen. And I think that's where, you know, what you're building toward. But along the way, over those 6 years, you were part of the Clinton Global Initiative University Commitment to Action. How did that come about?
Yeah, Andy, it's literally been those moments of honor and pride. I mean, the Clinton Global Initiative University invites students to make a commitment to action. So I went and I said, you know what, I commit to leveraging video games for social change. And then they follow you, right? So they hold you accountable, they follow you and your progress. And amongst around 700 students, the next year they chose 5 that they felt that they wanted to amplify and showcase. And that was my first time sharing the stage with President Clinton, and it was just such an honor, you know. I mean, I got this FBI agent who was like, you know, I mean, like speaking, and then I got to hang out with the Clintons backstage, and it was just it's just such an honor because this Clinton Global Initiative, I mean, the community that they've built, it's just so powerful because it's empowering young youth
Right.
globally to take action. And then they continue to follow my journey. And then 2 years later, I was amongst the first cohort of the CGIU honor roll alum. And I was awarded the CGIU honor roll alum award by, again, President Clinton. And it was just, thank you. And it's just
congratulations. That's a huge honor. But it shows the impact that you're having because they recognized you for your social change. And and the Clinton Initiative is absolutely right. You empower the youth, you empower women, and change will happen.
Absolutely. Right? Give us, you know, I mean, get the roadblocks out of the way. And even with the roadblocks, hey, come on, keep going, right? I mean, right. 4-time founder 4 times. I mean, you know that, right? We just keep going. And that's a beautiful thing about founders is they keep going.
And yeah, can't stop us now. I think I was playing that when you came on the show today. Ain't no stopping us now. Thank you, Hulda, for your, a great initiative. Yeah, we can have an impact on the world. And Mariam raised her hand. She applied because a lot of times we'll stop ourselves, right, from doing something because we think they're clever, you know, why me and all of that. Well, why not you? And that's just a message you have to keep giving yourself.
Oh God, Andy, can I just amplify that? Every opportunity in my life has been cold outreach and whitewashing the place with applications. I cannot underpin that enough. We may feel we're underrepresented, overlooked, you know, I mean, all of those things. But guys, we have Google, We have the internet and we get to be a part of every single conversation. So apply, apply, apply. There is no opportunity out of our hands.
I love that. Something fierce. I'm gonna put that on TikTok for sure. That soundbite. That is so great. And so then everybody, I just want you to know Mariam is not doing this full time. This is her side hustle. So for those of you who want to be founders who are don't want to quit your job, you do not have to. I mean, she's been at this for quite a while and she works full time, and it doesn't have to like take over your life and you become, even more isolated. Let's talk about that, Mariam. Let's talk about what it's been like for you as a side hustler. Any advice you can give to founders who have launched a business, and I'm going to tell you, smartly as a side hustle, because that, burning the ships, burning the bridges, that whole attitude, that's fine if you're living at home with your parents. But if you are in the world, you need to take care of your world. And sometimes that means staying on salary. Sometimes that means if you did go full-time as a founder, you need to get a side hustle to pay along the way. Just don't stop your dream, okay? Talk a little bit about being a side hustler and what you've learned from that other founders could benefit from.
Yeah, so I think, Andy, one of the things, I have a job that I love. It's a career. It's something that am absolutely passionate about. And what happened was when I found this idea with Grid 6 years ago, right? I mean, it is so important for me to validate the idea, take the time, build the team, right? And I did that, and that was a not for profit. So I'm definitely prefacing it with that. And I want to talk about this. Like in 2021, we're now a C Corp, VC backed founder, right? So, I want to talk about that's where we're building Breshna, and that does look very different. So, for the past 6 years, everyone worked part time. My entire team has been part time, and we were remote, so very capital efficient, very lean. We were able to ramp up and ramp down according to the demand and the projects that were coming our way. Very important. Legal disclaimer, very important to have a conversation with your employer. Make sure you define boundaries, make sure they know what you're doing, and it doesn't violate any of your contractual agreements. And then now that I entered under my new C Corp, now that we're building Breshna, and I entered the field of VC financing, Andy, the world is not prepared. Funding is so hard to get, and funding as a solo sidepreneur is even harder to get, right? Mm-hmm. And so let me just say this disclaimer big time. You will not be able to do this as a side hustle forever. So absolutely not. Like, that's not something that's going to continue. So not that I'm drafting my resignation letter on the show today, but I understand that there is a transition. However, let me just say this, that I think this idea that you are 22-year-old living in your parents' basement, eating ramen and just all of that I respect that hustle. I have done that hustle myself. Unfortunately, when you're a latepreneur, which at the age of 34, apparently I am. I don't want to think that. But yeah, as a latepreneur who has real responsibilities, who has a mortgage, who has a family, these are financial decisions that are hard to make. And therefore, please do not accept money that will make you make decisions that are premature for your own situation. There is so much space to build your business, give it 100%, which, hey, you know what? I'll work 24 hours. I'll work 20 hours if I have to. I will give this 100%, but do not do it in a financially irresponsible way, because if you are stressed financially, you will not be able to give 100% to your business. So do the math, do the financial planning, but I haven't done it. And I know that I will have to, transition, but it's going to be all in good time, all keeping everything in mind.
All right, I'm having a moment. Wow. Okay, take that in, everyone. That is not the advice you often hear. And it's so important that you remember only a small portion of startups get funding. Many people need to bootstrap their way to success. And they do it through getting customers, they get it through grants, they get it through other forms of financing. And sometimes it means working as well. But please take in what Mariam just said about not compromising your life. Because when you take on money, your runway, which could be years, just got really, really short. And imagine that plane trying to take off with not enough runway. So be careful about putting yourself into that position. I just want to make a couple other teaching moments. When Mariam was talking about how she became a C Corp, when you take on investment dollars, it is best for you and your business to be either a subchapter S or a full C Corp. Yes. All right. That's just legally where you want to be. And if you need help, go to startupdocs.com. Sankita has all the wonderful documents there that you need to understand how to protect yourself. She's one of my favorite startup attorneys. But what you mentioned too is, yes, we certainly, yay to the folks who are making the sacrifice. I've had clients that, were able to live from home and be really on the skinny while they built their business. That's wonderful. But for those of you, and late is not 34, everybody. There's no late.
Thank you.
Don't ever be caged by your age. All right.
Absolutely. Don't be caged by your age.
I want to do a Forbes. I want to do a Forbes 60 over 60 people who had a lot more to risk who launched a business. So 34 is great. What you're doing is great. You made me laugh out loud with, I'm not writing my resignation letter just yet, but that's very honest. At some point you will need to transition into full-time. Honestly, thank you so much for sharing that side hustling advice. And I always bring up Adam Grant. He wrote the book Originals. I started looking behind me because it's on my bookshelf. And he's a statistician, especially in the business world. And he'll tell you that side hustles have a 2 or more % chance of success. Okay. And loving the love and the high fives coming in from Asia K. Thank you so much. It's, this is important conversations to have amongst each others as founders so that we are helping ourselves make the good decisions, as Mariam said. So something that you're doing that's very unique as well is that you are building in public. Now, I know my son will go on and he'll code and develop on Twitch Live, and people will be talking and yapping away while he's doing something. What does building in public mean, and how does it relate to the gaming industry?
Absolutely. So, Andy, I want to talk about this transition, right? In my founder career, we were running a not-for-profit, making video games, everything's going well, great. And then we said, you know what? I mean, one of the things that we have realized is that, so imagine this, Andy, there are 1 billion video game players around the world today. 1 billion people playing at least 1 hour of video game every single day, right? However, there is only 200,000 people making video games. And that is, to me, a little bit of a disconnect where you're saying, so there's people who are passionate about playing video games, but they're not empowered to be able to make their own video games. So if you think about the democratization of content movement, right? TikTok for videos, CANVA for slide design, Bubble for apps, WordPress for websites. Where is that for video games, right? Where is the tool that empowers people to create their own video games without any code, without being a gamer, without being a tech person, and for video games beyond entertainment? There's a few no-code tools in the industry. Unity has done it and everything, but they focus on entertainment. And so what we decided to build was Breshna, the no-code tool for building video games that go beyond entertainment, for education, for marketing, for training. And Breshna is no code, low cost, and lightning speed. And Breshna actually means lightning in the Pashto language, which is my mother's language. So it does mean lightning. And to me, the idea of Breshna was to say, I'm going to make video game making accessible to everyone. If it's the teacher who wants to make a history game in 15 minutes, she should be able to do that. If it's a founder who wants to make a pitch game instead of a pitch deck, they should be able to do that, right? And so, Andy, when I came up with this idea, I was like, okay, this is a for-profit VC backable model. So first of all, I did the whole thinking, can this be VC backed? And I said, okay, this is, but where do I find VCs? Like, how do I fund? Like, what do I do? Like, I have no idea how to go about this, right? I mean, like,
so we're going back to the initial boxes that you were not checking off, you know, or the boxes one would check off that would say, nope, can't do this deal. Can't, she's solopreneur. Nope. No tech. Nope. The side hustle. Nope.
Exactly. So I'm just always my checklist is usually empty when it comes to, do you qualify? And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to break your checklist and still qualify, right? So I'm like, that's not going to stop me from fundraising through VC. I heard a lot, maybe not the VC route, maybe something else. I'm like, no, you know what? I know that this is a rocket ship and it needs fuel, and I'm going to build that next unicorn. So what I started doing, Andy, was I started building in public on Twitter. And building in public was not something that came intentionally. So I just started documenting my thoughts at first, right? Being like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, is this the thing? Is this the way? And blah, blah. And so I was self-learning in public. I was self-teaching in public. And slowly I realized that a lot of people build in public for marketing. I was building in public to build my community. And there is so much importance to that if you are a solo founder who is going through this journey, and this is isolating and it's scary and it's very, very, very intimidating, do it in public, do it with your community, and opportunities just open up.
Wow. Right? So when you're saying you were building in public on Twitter, what would that tweet look like?
I love it. So I literally started doing weekly updates. So I would literally be like, hey guys, guess what? This week, we made our landing page. I reached out to 4 investors. I received 6 no's. I have, I said no to an extracted term sheet. I just started sharing the journey. And guys, there is this fine line between therapy and building in public. So this is not your therapist's couch. So you can be vulnerable, but it's like, there's a little bit of
you don't need to say, and I spent the last 12 hours crying because I didn't think anything was going to work out, but
yeah, although I've even said that, but don't just keep talking about that. Right. And I think that what was beautiful about it, Andy, is when you start doing that, you start creating that community, and you also start getting feedback on the product while you're building the product.
Yes.
Right. So,
yes.
I would go out and I'd be like, guys, so no code for a teacher, what's important, right? And then I have these amazing teachers in my community. Jeremy, big shout out to him. He has been talking about Breshna in his classroom even before Breshna is launched. Wow. If that is not product market fit, if that is not validation, if that is not feedback, then what is? So put yourself out there. And the thing, Andy, is building in public is counterintuitive to a lot of founders.
Well, especially tech founders.
Right? Build in stealth. How many times have we seen hashtag building something in stealth? Zip, Ninja, building in stealth. I unfortunately believe that building in stealth, especially when you're an underrepresented founder or a founder that doesn't have that community, is stopping yourself from so many different opportunities.
Absolutely.
Your idea getting stolen should be the least of your concerns.
We had a great, but let me just celebrate one thing you did that I always talk about on the show that is so important. And that is you proved your value proposition, and you did it by building in public. You see, if you wait until you launch, folks, fully launch, you're going to have to work even harder and spend even more money to make the changes that you will need to do, because the customers are, even though you do all the surveys, they're still going to go where they're going to go. And so by building in public, you are using the true beta format, and using community. So you're doing all the tweaking now so that when you do fully launch, you have the feedback from people in a way that you've built it for them, because they're going to give you not just the feedback, but they're going to ask you the tough questions that you'll need to answer, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Andy. And I just think that they become the voice of your brand. Those are the people, like, you build with them, right? You're not just building for them, you're building with them. And I think that is the beauty of building in public. And then I meet people like Steve, right? I mean, Twitter. And then I meet people like you. And my circles would not have collided if it wasn't for me and the community that I'm building. So pick any two channels, guys. Instagram, Twitter, so LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you are good at, pick two and stick to them, and consistent good quality content. I do not overthink my tweets. I don't spend 4 hours designing them. I just have a conversation about what I'm doing. This is what I did. These were the wins, these were the losses, and I engage, and I hope I produce good quality content.
I have to tell you, since 2011, when I really first dove into Twitter, it is still my favorite social media bar. I call it a bar because I always feel like I'm sitting at the bar with everybody and going, well, guys, what do you think about this? Or what are you thinking about that? And, I know politics has given it a really tough flavor. I realize that a lot of times on Twitter, if folks respond to the angst type of tweet, you can do what Mariam's doing and have terrific results on Twitter. It is one of my favorite community building. And I keep lists. Okay. So if you're not creating Twitter lists, do it. For fab female founders, things like that, startup life. And you can keep some private because I want to get that person on board. Or I'd like to learn more about that VC or that company. Great way to go. Speaking of Twitter, I'm bringing up one of our favorite founders right here, Allison Byers. Allison saying, Mariam, your passion and authenticity is inspiring. So enjoying this interview.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Hey, can I just take a moment and throw up something from Allison right here? Because she was on the show. Let's just give Scroobius a little go pitch it plan. And of course, for the founders here, let me just get down that comment there so folks can see the full code. Scroobius has the most amazing pitch it plan. So if you want to take your company and raise money, please go visit Scroobius. I'll have the links in the show notes because Allison and her team prepare you to pitch your company with video. Okay, so that you have an opportunity to vibe with your potential folks who are going to fund with, whether angel or VCs. Plus, she puts you into the right order, what your pitch deck should look and feel like. Believe me, don't go online and think Airbnb's pitch deck is what you need. When you're a startup and you're out there for the first time, everything needs to be in a certain order to put investors at ease and get them past the white elephant in the room and be more engaged in what you're doing. So Allison Byers, Scroobius, yay! So wrapping up building in public, that is, again, so important. And I'm so glad you shared that great advice for doing it because, especially as you mentioned, as an underrepresented founder, you need all the lift you can get. And by creating community on a platform like Twitter, like LinkedIn, or if it's Instagram, you will have an opportunity for people to add win to your sales, which is what we love to do here at the Startup Life Live Show. And then another piece of advice you brought up while we were chatting before we went live is being a category leader. I want you to dive into that a little too, because that's just such great advice.
So this one's new for me, Andy, and I actually learned this while I'm going to the Ocean Accelerator. Big shout out to the Ocean Accelerator, amazing community.
What's the URL?
Ocean.
I'll find it. You keep talking and talk about category leader, and I'm going to go in and
find Ocean program, Ocean Accelerator, and basically. There we were so it's a virtual program, but we all met in Boulder last week, and there was a speaker, beautiful and they took us to this private ranch where there was like water and rocks and all of that. So beautiful, amazing place. I mean, amazing community. But one of the speakers, Andy, talked about, so founders have this instinct to be like, I'm going to talk about Breshna, right? So if I'm a founder, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to continue to talk about Breshna, like Breshna this and Breshna that and Breshna this. And that's a little bit self-serving, and after a while, and Breshna is beautiful, look at Breshna, but after a while people are like, okay, well, you know what, of course you're biased because it's your product. Now instead, if I so it's like talking about your baby, right? Of course you think your baby is pretty. But instead, if you were to talk about the category, so we are creating a new category, which is no code for video games that go beyond entertainment. So what we're doing is we're changing the way video games are made, which is through no code, and used, which is beyond entertainment. And that is a subcategory of the market. So if we change the conversation there, you start to one, position yourself as an industry leader or a thought leader, but also you start to invite more players into the category so that it becomes, so no code for purposeful video games. That is a category. It's a new category. And I would like to invite more players into that to dabble into this idea of how do we make video games accessible, but also how do we take games outside of the gaming industry where they've lived for so long, right?
Yeah.
And what that gives you, that authentic thought process, what that gives you is the positioning, but then also then you're seen as a collaborator instead of a competitor.
Beautiful. Yep.
That, Andy, to me is at the crux of it. The serious games industry is a $29 billion industry by 2025. Okay. The cake is huge. Why am I competing over a small slice of cake when I can build a bigger cake with the right collaborators? And, and I really, really do believe that creating your category, having a conversation around that, again, going to building back in public, it's a smarter way to do it than to keep branding your own brand.
Absolutely. I mean, come on, this is some serious gems being laid down here by our Fab Friday female founder, Mariam Nusrat. And Steve Vilkas is saying purposeful strategy. We love to see it. But take that in, folks, because I have a video, an Andelicious advice category on my YouTube channel, and I talk about what if someone steals my idea? That's a very common question that folks have. I will share with you on that video why you need not worry about that. Stay focused on what you are building and what you're doing. And I know you've heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. Sure, it's been done before, but not by you and not for us. And walk down the bread aisle if you're ever wondering if one can have one more of what's out there. Because it's just bread.
It's just bread. I completely agree.
So exciting. And you're doing so many exciting things. And I love that you have the umbrella that is a .org, but now you have launched a C Corp with Breshna and everything that you're doing there. Let's talk a little bit about that, because, launching, quote, a no code game design platform. First of all, how are you going to make money? How are you going to market this? I know you've been building up your community, but marketing and, customer acquisition is also very important. Team acquisition. So those are three categories I'd love for you to dive into, because it just helps us better understand how are you doing this and making it happen so that you have many folks helping you along the way.
I love that, Andy. So first of all, I just, obviously, so we had the idea of saying, okay, you know what? We're going to empower teachers, founders, small business owners, content creators to be able to go and make their own video games. So that was the big idea. So you can come on Breshna and you have all these backgrounds and you have all these video game templates, and you can make a run and catch game, or you can make a Mythbuster game or a drag and drop game, and you will be able to customize that game without writing a single line of code or without doing any design work. So we've done the homework for you. All you need to do is come on Breshna and unleash your creativity.
So now, what you gave earlier was an unbelievable example because it's about democratizing the ability to do things. So you used CANVA as a great tool that's helped folks. You used WordPress when we, in SQUARESPACE, right? I mean, nobody could create a website before without serious coding, folks.
Yeah.
And people can go in and you can throw some HTMLs too, and you can tweak, but you don't need to. This is the vision that you have. So when you're pitching this to folks, you can say it's been done before, not for gaming, but it has been done. Love that.
Exactly. And again, Andy, it's also, there is a small space where it has been done for entertainment video games. It has just never been done for a non-gamer, non-tech audience beyond entertainment, right? So empowering normal people like you and I to be able to say, you know what? Here's an example. You want to make a birthday card? Make a birthday game. You want to make a slide deck? Make a video game to communicate what you want to make a brochure, make a game. You want to make a quiz, make a video game. And I just think that video games have this power to communicate, educate, engage, and empower. And we're unleashing that power through Breshna.
And a couple of things here. First of all, as a mom of a serious gamer who is also a game designer, yes, SimCity, of course, is a wonderful example. I have to keep coming back to that because mostly of what I see in gaming is a lot more complicated than that. And so I'm trying to understand, and thank God for the CANVA example or the SQUARESPACE example, where you just pop information in, or Bubble, for your app, you just pop it in. And will you have like a free version? Will you have a paid version? How is that all going to work?
Yes, so it will be freemium based, right? Mm-hmm. So in the version, you'll be able to come in, make your video game. So you'll make your game and then you'll publish it and you'll get a URL, which you can share with your friends.
Without a watermark or anything like that?
Without a watermark, with nothing like that. You get a URL for the first 3 games. But then if you like it, then we also need to make a little bit of money.
Absolutely.
So you go to the paid model. So it is a SaaS subscription model, pricing strategies, different tiers and all of that.
Good.
And first of all, we're launching, and I'd love to for this call of action, if it's okay. We're launching on July 16th with a game jam, which is 1,000 people getting on Breshna and designing video games for 72 hours. It's a competition, guys. There's prizes. You can come. You can make a video game wherever you want. Please do sign up because it is capped. So if we could bring that image back, it's www.breshna, BRESHNA.gamingfordev.com. Would love some signups. Please go on there. We're updating that landing page.
I'll have all the details. Yeah. I'll have all the details in the show notes, and I'll have Matthew put it out to his community as well.
I love that.
That's my game design son.
So much fun. But I think, sorry.
And I'll let him know, where he's getting his education too, because they've got one of the best game design schools out there, programs out there. And, that would be a great opportunity for the professors, right, to share with the students.
Exactly, Andy. And it's just so exciting because we want people to come on. We actually have someone who's waiting for Breshna to launch so he can propose to his girlfriend. Imagine, right? Like a proposal video game. How cool is that?
That is so great.
It's so cute. And it's just like the use cases are infinite. And we want to crowdsource that creativity because we can't do it. But with our community, we can.
How have you onboarded your talent? Because, market rate for this kind of work, our jobs as founders, folks, is to attract great help with the understanding that they will take a cut in pay and that they will be rewarded in other ways. Of course, just the excitement of being part of a fascinating startup, but down the road as funding comes in. How have you managed the talent acquisition process?
Absolutely. So, Andy, I have to say this, right? When they say it takes a village, part of that village is those investors who write that first check. And this is a big, big, big thank you to Mark Phillips from 11 Tribes, who, as part of the Ocean program, they have provided a pre-seed funding of $75,000 that has allowed us to onboard our talent, to build our MVP, and to build our marketing content to continue that fundraising. And guys, here's the thing. Getting a yes is very hard. Your first check, it's very hard. But be selective of where that first yes comes from. So Mark wasn't our first offer. I actually had to say a no. And as a founder, saying your first no is harder than saying your first yes. But Mark was the biggest value add investor that we could have thought about. Because you know what they put a value on? Founder well-being. He sees Mariam before he sees grid. And that is just so powerful.
Say that again. He sees
Mariam. He sees the founder before he sees grid, before he sees the business, right? And that is so powerful that you have someone like that in your court. And so obviously, once we got our pre-seed funding, we had been working with this team of game developers and designers for the past 6 years. And I said, hey, you know what, guys? I am now in a place where we can start to transition you. You can work on Breshna. And the beauty of working with a global team is that they're remote and capital efficient and high quality. So please do not think that because I am living in Washington, D.C., I can only work with people in Washington, D.C. If you are living in an XYZ, your talent pool is global, right?
Right. And you can find them anywhere. So when we had Madison Campbell on with Lita Health, her earlier business had been working in raising awareness in Lyons, Nigeria, of the incredible tech talent pool in that city, right? So, and you have it where Pakistan, country of origin. I know that my dear friend, the founder of Radavision, Mona Defraoui, had an incredible group from Egypt. So, you know.
And I have to say, Andy, look, I am acknowledging that sometimes outsourcing is painful.
Right.
You haven't built that relationship. There could be communication gaps. There is a supervision and a quality gap. So these are relationships that have to happen over years.
Right.
I did not go to Pakistan and make a phone call and get someone and then boom, like, you know, I had a whole team.
No, there's trial and error.
This took me a good 3-4 years to get it right. But now that I have, it is literally, you know, when they say, what's your moat? Like, why you?
Right.
It's me because I have this team backing me. It's me because I've worked with them and I've tested it and I trust them and there's a relationship. And it's just so powerful to me. So that's my talent workforce.
And folks, if you really want to know how to do product development without blowing a lot of money, I interviewed on the Startup Life Live show Igor Belogoretsky, and he gave us an incredible primer, beautiful slideshow. So if you go to, I think it's like one of my third, I think it was the third or fourth interviews on the Startup Life Live show. You can find that on YouTube or on my website, andelyons.com. Go watch that. You will be so grateful because he'll help you with the questions, the clarifying questions, what to beware of when, you know, dev groups give you a proposal or a bid on something. So it's phenomenal. And for those listening or watching later, I will have the link in the show notes for you for that.
Just go ahead. Of paying it forward. If you are doing a smaller project, like making your website or making a small app or making something that's an interactive video, I am willing to share my dev team and my design team talent at cost, just because I know how hard it is for founders to sometimes get that small project out there. Luckily, I've built this team and it's a large enough team where we have that space. So if you're looking for that, I am willing to pay it forward. So please reach out to me at either or email, and I will be
I'll have the email. I'll have
share some of that
contact info. And of course, you're seeing it. If you're watching the video, you see it right there on her banner, mariam.adil at gamingdevfordev.com. But Yeah. Mariam, that is really generous of you to do that.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. And guys, that's the generosity of founderhood. What hard thing are you working on right now that we could add wind to your sails?
I love it. So Andy, we are we're launching our game jam, which is going to be on July 16th to 18th. So again, any signups, come play with us, give us feedback. My biggest fear right now is that the game jam is gonna happen and I'll hear nothing. Crickets will be my biggest fear. If I hear negative feedback, if I hear emotion, I am taking it all in because that's a good thing. But if I hear nothing, that's scary.
Oh, no. Welcome to my world.
I know, right? It's like, do you like it? Do you not like it?
So hard. But
Please share feedback. And then we're also going to be raising a round of equity crowdfunding. I cannot share a lot about it, but
when the link is ready, you'll share it and we can all be owners. See, that's the beauty of equity crowdfunding or Reg C, folks, is we get to be owners. I'm an owner in several businesses because they went equity crowdfunding. What, $200, part of a pool? It's so exciting. I want to bring up some comments from this wonderful, wonderful woman, Asia K. She's first saying, my mind is blown. And wow, that's amazing. As she's listening to all the incredible things Mariam's doing. And yes, I agree 110% with you, Asia. Mariam is what Asia's saying. You are a beautiful soul, very generous of you. I agree, Asia. Thank you for sharing and participating. And oh, no kidding. You planned my birthday party. It's July 17th.
Amazing, Asia. I hope to see you. Mine is July 20th. So we're both Cancerians. We're right next to each other. That's amazing.
Oh, look it. And she's saying right here, I will be there.
Thank you, Asia.
Goosebumps.
Thank you so much. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you. Please do sign up. First 500 signups get 3 months of free access to Breshna. So you just come there, you make your video games, and you play along. And
excellent. We will add wind to your sails. I'm going to reach out to Sugar Game or Keisha Howard. There's also a phenomenal, generous man, AWOL. I don't know if you know AWOL. AWOL was doing gaming live back in, I want to say 2006, before anything was really even live. Phenomenal teacher. I'll definitely let him know too, because I know, and you're going to get pushback from anybody who's like, what do you mean no code? What do you mean? Change is hard. And also people are really attached to how things should be done. But hey, we have CANVA now. I'm just going to keep going back to CANVA. It's like one of the the best in SQUARESPACE for so many people. Hey, Jolene, she's saying, this was a fascinating conversation. Thank you, Andy and Mariam. Such good stuff here. I agree. I'm going to have so many clips from this. Jolene, I don't know which one I'm going to be putting out. I may just be circulating several of them. So let's touch on the last two questions that I always love to get from my guests, which is, what do you do when you are feeling the founder imposter syndrome, when you are feeling inadequate? Because you don't get away with not feeling that, folks. How do you shift out of that? What works best for you?
Yeah. So Andy, I think for the longest time, I would just resign to it and question and say, why me? Do I belong? And now I tap into my community. So the people that I'm building with, the team that I'm building with, the mission that I'm building for, I tap into that, I look to that, and that is the wind behind my sails. That is what gives me the power and the energy and just the passion to keep going, because you know what? It is better to have tried and failed than to never have tried. And that is a regret I'm just not willing to live with. So I'm going to do.
I should do that one more time. Stitch that on a pillow, folks. Say it again, Mariam, so we can hear it one more time on that pillow.
It is better to have tried and failed than to have never tried.
It really is. We had Vish, who's, he's got a different type of platform. It's gaming. He is an MD, and he left MD because medical practice, because too many people in the ICU where he was kept saying their regrets for not having tried. Don't let that happen to you, folks. Oh my gosh. And as far as the imposter syndrome part 2 and how you shift out community, folks, it's easy to just focus on the negative. The brain kind of likes to go there. And Mariam talked about this earlier in the show too. Grab those comments that are filled with love and joy for what you're doing, that give your business or you a lift. Grab them, cut and paste them, throw them someplace. I put mine on a Pinterest board and I review them when I'm feeling like, what are you doing, Andy? Crickets, all the different fears that can come up. I just put those things in. Oh, okay. All right. Making a difference. All right. Making it happen. It will remind you, and it'll take your beautiful brain, which wants to be on like, it's not working. It's never going to work. Why did I do this? I'm a failure, to, hey, I got my community here. These people are seeing it. They get it. They're practicing it. All right. We can do this. And community is so key as a founder, because we, again, can feel isolated. And please do not rely on family and friends for any of this. It really has to be either those who you are serving or another community of founders. That's why accelerator programs and cohorts are so important, because you can talk to someone who knows exactly what you're going through. Yeah. Beautiful. And now let's talk about how entrepreneurship has served you both personally and professionally.
Yeah, I think honestly, Andy, it comes down to passion and purpose, right? And that is it. Like this energy. So I have this moment where I'll have a really good phone call or send a really like an email or crack a problem. And then I start singing that song, This Girl Is on Fire. And I have a terrible voice, but it's so much passion and it's so much purpose. And I just feel like such an energy. And I'm like, I'm on fire. And it's happiness. And that entrepreneurship has given me. And why should I work and till I'm 70 and 80 and not have my life filled with these moments where I think I'm on fire? I want to be on fire for the rest of my life. And I think entrepreneurship has given me that, which is just beautiful.
Absolutely. Whether you're working for someone or for yourself, having purpose in your life is precious. It really is, because it's not just about you or your kids or something. It's about the bigger picture of what you're building. That could be your art. It could be writing. It could be what you're doing within an organization that feeds, or it could be a nonprofit that you volunteer with or support, that where you get that I am on purpose, I am on fire. This is great. And I just, I'm with you with that. When something happens, I jump up. And, I'm like, oh, yeah, uh-huh. Yeah. This is how we do it. Yeah. And my plants and my cats are like, uh-huh, what?
My cats too. I mean, they hate me singing, period. But they definitely hate me singing this particular song. But,
oh my gosh, this has been such a wonderful conversation. I just don't even want to bring it to an end. What final words do you have for folks before I pop you in the green room and wrap things up?
I mean, again, a big, big thank you. You do not even know, every single one of you, Asia, Jolene, Mia, everyone who joined, everyone who's listening in. I mean, I have always said this, it takes a village. It is my community. I am building with you. I am building for you. Thank you so, so much for listening. Please sign up for our game jam, breshna.gamingfordev.com. That's where all the magic will start to begin. We would love to have you come on there. This is literally for everyone. There is no such thing as Breshna is not for you. Breshna is for everyone. So please do join us. Thank you once again, and never stop building and never stop believing. That's it. Thank you.
Oh, I feel another song coming on. Stop. Okay, we won't sing it for you. Thank you so much, Mariam. I'm going to pop you into the green room here and bring myself up to full screen. All right, so have we just gone entrepreneurship church, maybe? I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling so inspired by the incredible wisdom that we heard today from our phenomenal, fab female founder, Mariam Nusrat. Okay, so I know all the links are there in the show notes. You can find out everything you need to know from our conversation. And yes, Asia's agreeing. You are amazing. Got me fired up. Can't wait. Thank you, Mariam and Andy. Yes, way to go. And Asia, thank you so much for tuning in. And Jolene and Mia and Steve and Allison and all the other folks who are tuning in during the replay or lurking while we were live. So grateful to have you here. I'm excited to share with you who's coming on next on the Startup Life Live show. I'm here live on Tuesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. ET. So I just wanted to throw that out. And look who we have coming on here. Quan Nguyen. Now, Quan, I have to tell you, he had an unusual start to life. After spending 22 years in and out of correctional institutions, Quan was paroled from a life sentence in 2015 and created his first company 6 months later. Described as a mighty warrior, a magician, and a mountain of goodness, he's the best-selling author of Sparrow in the Razor Wire, Finding Freedom from Within While Serving a Life Sentence. He's also the senior post-release program manager for Defy Ventures. And I really want you to take in what this incredible organization does. It's a nonprofit helping those with a criminal past transform their lives through the journey of entrepreneurship. And their programs enable one of America's largest forgotten communities to defy the odds. And so it's Entrepreneurship in Training Accelerator program provides the skill sets and mentoring needed to launch a business. I'm telling you, you're going to be so inspired with this incredible conversation and with this amazing, amazing founder. So be sure to tune in for that conversation. So glad you came in. I'm going to play a little Winnie the Pooh quote here for you so that you remember. And hold on to this. Mariam talked about it too. You're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and oh yeah, smarter than you think. You always get to surprise yourself on what you can do and who you can be when you're on this entrepreneurship journey. I'm so grateful for your time and your presence. Wishing you all the best.